Traffic violations and accidents are quite often, far more often probably than most of us realize, the result of emotional problems of one kind or another. Before we go on to the 10 rules for safe driving, let's talk a minute about emotions and attitudes. Studies conducted in the state of Michigan point to the fact that the person with a bad safety record, tickets for violations of various kinds, and with a car that's chronically dented, is most often the person with an emotional problem. As a rule, he's a young person without roots or goals, adrift in the world. All he knows is that he's very discontented with the world and with himself, and this discontent manifests itself in an I don't care, get out of the way attitude behind the wheel. In a way, these people are saying, life is no good anyway, I don't care if I do get hurt or killed. Now, if you're walking through a forest, and you know it contains hungry wild animals, you're going to proceed with great caution, right? Well, in the jungle of our streets and highways prowl many thousands of the type I've just described, and there isn't much we can do about it except, and this will help a great deal, drive with great caution and remain constantly on the alert. The other thing we can do is make sure we don't belong to this group. We can make certain we have worthwhile goals, that we know life is worth living, all of it, and make up our minds to stay alive as long as possible. So by defending ourselves against the bad attitudes of others, and by keeping our own attitudes good, we can enjoy driving all the years of our lives without getting traffic tickets and without getting hurt or killed in an accident. Now let's proceed with our in-depth examination of the 10 rules for safe driving. First, keep your car in excellent condition at all times. It will drive better, look better, and bring more money when you sell or trade it. This includes properly inflated tires with lots of tread on them, clean windows, lights which give maximum illumination, properly operating wipers and blades, good brakes and steering, an exhaust system that's free of leaks, and a horn and dashboard instruments that all work. Costly repair jobs are usually the result of neglecting the little, inexpensive jobs. Keep your car up to the minute all the time. Second, always pre-plan your trip. The skillful driver pre-selects the safest route. Pre-planning also helps avoid peak traffic periods and unnecessary driving expense. Above all, allow plenty of time. Don't leave for work or a date at the last minute so that you feel you have to hurry. A big percentage of the 50,000 people who will die this year in traffic accidents were trying to save a few minutes and lost everything as a result. The average 17-year-old person has a life expectancy of about 27 million minutes. Don't gamble your 27 million minutes trying to save 1 minute while driving. Those are odds you can't win against. If you do leave at the last minute, be late, but never hurry in a car. Third, I know you've heard this many times, if you're going to drive, don't drink. The critical judgment of a driver and his ability to react quickly are impaired after only 1 or 2 drinks. The so-called social drinker, the person who has 2 or 3 drinks before driving, is the greatest driving menace. He mistakenly believes that a couple of drinks won't affect his thinking and driving ability. They will affect his driving. 50% of all accidents are caused by alcohol. Of 500 persons killed on Illinois highways in 1 year, postmortems established that more than 200 of them had been drinking. Of course, alcohol isn't the only thing that can impair your reactions. Common drugs which are used to combat hay fever, colds, or tension, or to induce sleep, can be as dangerous as alcohol, especially when taken together. Just as with alcohol, drugs can affect your driving ability and cloud your thinking. So does fatigue, driving when you're too tired. Fourth, use and insist that your passengers use all available safety devices, seat belts, shoulder belts, door locks, headrests, everything at all times. Your passengers are your responsibility. Let's examine the use of seat belts, but remember what I say about seat belts will apply equally in different ways to other safety devices. By wearing seat belts, you are twice as likely to escape injury and 8 times as likely to emerge from an accident alive. The universal use of seat belts could save more than 5,000 lives every year and prevent 1/3 of the serious injuries. A doctor who's head of the X-ray department for a large city hospital will not turn on the ignition of his car until every person in it has fastened his seat belt. This is because he's had to look at so many thousands of X-rays of broken and splintered bones as a result of traffic accidents. He said, If every driver could see what I've seen, he would never start his car until his seatbelt and the seatbelts of his passengers are fastened. It works this way. The people in a car who have not fastened their seatbelts are not attached to the car in any way. They're completely free to move in any direction. If the car hits something, the bumper stops, the engine stops, the car stops, but the people continue to travel at precisely the same speed the car was moving at the time of the accident. They become flesh and blood and bones projectiles until they strike whatever happens to be in their path. And what they strike is always tougher than human flesh and bones. And as for that business of not buckling up because you're just going to the corner store, 2/3 of the fatal accidents happen less than 25 miles from the driver's home. Never start your car until your seatbelt is fastened, okay? Fifth, did you know that about 90% of all driving decisions are based on the driver's vision? Thus, good vision and proper seeing habits constitute the key to skillful driving. The skillful driver sits up and keeps his eyes moving, never letting them become fixed on anything for more than 3 or 4 seconds. Good sunglasses are a must for long-distance drivers, and by wearing sunglasses during the day, you will actually increase your night vision when you take your sunglasses off by 50% or more. Of course, you never wear sunglasses when driving in poor light or at night. And something else that goes without saying is that no matter how good your vision and seeing habits may be, you can't see properly through a dirty windshield. Keep it clean, and all the other glass in your car, including the headlights, taillights, and turn signals. Sixth, drive smoothly and easily for the sake of your passengers, other drivers on the road, and the sake of your car. Whenever you see someone burning rubber in a screaming jackrabbit start, you're seeing a person who's shouting to the world, "Look at me, I'm a little show-off kid with a car." Now, this is true regardless of the driver's real age. Actual tests prove that the person who consistently breaks the speed limits and tears away from a stop in a big hurry is almost always a little subnormal in the intelligence department. Obtaining a car and a driver's license do not necessarily require an overabundance of brains. When you have passengers in your car, drive in such a way that they're always comfortable, never thrown off balance or frightened. Be considerate. Seventh, and I shouldn't have to mention this, act like a good driver. Mature, cool, courteous, attentive, deliberate, and wise. Never play games with your car. If some nut wants to race, avoid him as you would avoid a known carrier of typhoid. He's every bit as dangerous. Any person who uses his car as a toy should not be permitted this adult privilege. His license should be suspended indefinitely. Eighth, communicate with other drivers by deliberate, clear signals. They don't know what you're thinking or what you're going to do unless you tell them. Give signals well in advance of turns and lane changes. Use your horn to alert pedestrians, bicyclists, and other motorists. Don't expect pedestrians to know what you're going to do. Many pedestrians don't drive and don't understand the driver's role, but the pedestrian is always in the right. Be especially careful to keep your speed down in residential areas where a child can dart out in front of your car at any moment. And don't forget your passengers. Communicate with them too. An unexplained change in speed or direction can cause a sensitive passenger to become quite nervous. Ninth, watch out for trouble. The skillful driver anticipates trouble. He sees possible trouble situations long before he gets to them and makes the proper adjustment. This almost always includes slowing down. Don't let yourself get boxed in by other motorists. Keep a space cushion between your car and the other cars. The old rule of thumb about following 1 car length for every 10 miles per hour was fine in the days of slower traffic. Today, the rule is 2 car lengths per 10 miles per hour. Of course, other drivers aren't the only source of trouble. Consider the effects of changes in the road surface, light, weather, and so forth. And here's number 10, the 10th rule for safe driving. Slow down. Do you know that according to the Stanford Research Institute, deaths on American highways could be cut in half if the average driver were willing to spend just 11 more minutes per day behind the wheel? According to these scientists, speed is a factor in most auto deaths, and even a modest reduction of 20% in speed limits, vigorously enforced, would spare 25,000 lives per year, 77,000 permanent disabilities, and 2 million other injuries. The cost? 11 more minutes driving time per day per driver. So slow down. Reduce your speed at night. Drive at least 10 miles per hour slower than you would during daylight hours. Chances of an accident are more than doubled from sunset to sunrise. And reduce your speed the moment it begins to rain or snow. Thousands of people have been killed or injured because they didn't know that the front wheels of a car may hydroplane on wet pavement. That is, they leave the surface of the road entirely. This was discovered by NASA engineers studying airplane skids. Watching a tire spinning on a wet belt, they suddenly saw it come to a complete stop for no known reason, while the belt was still traveling at 60 miles per hour. Later, in full-scale experiments, it was found that at less than 30 miles per hour, if you carry 24 pounds pressure in your tires, your front tires begin to lose contact with the wet pavement. At around 50, they're lifted up on a tough film of water, and only the outer ribs are touching. Yet that tire footprint on the road is what your life depends upon. At about 55, your front tires lose all contact. Believe it or not, at 60 miles per hour on wet roads, your front wheels can come to a complete stop. The slightest gust of wind, a passing car or truck or a slope of the road can send you spinning out of control. And don't make the mistake of thinking a warm, dry road is skid-proof. This, too, has cost thousands of lives. A dry road can be as slippery as ice. Here's the way it works. You see a car or truck stalled ahead. In panic, you slam on your brakes. A skid begins. Suddenly, you think the skid is over. But just then your car seems to get its second wind. It tears off in a scary new slide, may even seem to skid faster. This is known as the molten rubber slide. In the first moment of slide, your tires get hot. Suddenly they lay down a long, slick trail of molten rubber. You're greasing your own trail to destruction. The tires ride on this interface of molten rubber, just as a stick of solder suddenly slides easily in its own melt. Your best friends, whether it's wet or dry, are 4 free-rolling wheels, and the answer is to brake gradually. You can only do this if you keep your speed under control at all times. Finally, while you're still with me, I have an interesting observation for parents of teenage drivers, from Clay Waltham, writing in American Youth magazine. He asks this question: driver education programs teach our youngsters good driving techniques. The youngsters have sharper reactions, better sensory perception than their elders. Why then are they involved in twice as many fatal accidents? And this is the answer he gives. Teenagers lack judgment and experience. Unhappily, few parents are willing to devote the time and patience necessary to help their kids gain judgment and experience. The fact is that the new teenage driver belongs behind the wheel of the family car as often and for as long as possible. Without parental cooperation, he's apt to try to squeeze too much out of his infrequent and unsupervised use of the car. Parent-teen cooperation in the experience of learning has another advantage. It can serve to develop a kind of mutual trust which fosters better communications between the generations. Further, in the process of supervision, a parent will often find that his own ability as a driver has improved. Well, there they are. Instructions you should know by heart, so they automatically pop into your mind every time you drive. Learning them takes time, repeated listening, continuous practice. But believe me, no set of instructions can be half as painful as an accident or the time and money involved in a traffic arrest. Stay alive, will you? Live. And let live. This is Earl Nightingale, and thank you.